It's best to live your life. Ooh, I don't love the word regret. But let's be real. Everyone's like, I don't have any regrets. I think people have regrets. Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron and I am back at it again with another video. And today's video is particularly exciting because I am doing my 50K Q&A. I actually had someone a couple months ago ask if I do hit 50K to do a Q&A on my main channel. But I also wanted to do this for those who continuously are supporting and ask questions and want to get to know me a little bit better. So I decided I would post this as a midweek upload so that you guys can still get a commentary video on Friday. So be on the lookout. This is a celebration for making it to 50K subscribers. We're going to talk a bit about my YouTube journey in this because you guys asked me quite a few questions about that, but it has been such a long time coming. On my community tab, I did ask you guys to ask me any questions that you did have. So I pulled those questions from here and I'll make sure to shout you out, post that on the screen here. So we just have some YouTube questions, we have pop culture questions, and we also just had some fun like miscellaneous questions that we're going to go over today. Also in this video, I did want to give a shout out to my paid patrons on my Patreon. So here's a shout out to you participating, watching my album audit series, and also just further supporting this channel. Shout out to D. Marie, Melissa Williams, Corin Adams, Brian Alston, Kev French, Vanna Tierra, Shauna K. Harrison, Landed Here, Dami, Tyrone Rigney, Kiara Jones, Lana Del Slay, Pink Plastique, Fernanda Martinez, Alexis Alec, Alejandro Renteria, Asli Hassan, Rudy Renee, Shannon Evans, Shannon, Ralpha Jean Gael, Just Miracle, and Ross White. Thank you. If you have any other questions for me, comment them down below. I would love to still answer any remaining questions that you have. And let's get right into the Q&A. All right, guys, so I have my laptop right here. So I'm going to be reading some of these questions and we're going to kind of go by category. So to start this off, I organized some of your guys' YouTube questions. I had quite a few of you guys who asked very similar questions, so I'll answer all of those kind of in that same realm. So the first question that I got regarding my YouTube, their question was, how did you come up with the idea to start this channel? And then the next question someone also asked, what was the inspiration for starting your YouTube channel? So fun fact, don't look too hard. Don't run, walk. But I had a YouTube channel. I think my first one was when I was maybe 12. Now, keep in mind, that's not like an unusual story. I grew up during that YouTube rise, like Charlie the Unicorn and Charlie Bit My Finger and Scarlet Takes a Tumble. So I think everybody was getting introduced to YouTube at the time. So me and my friend, we've had two YouTube channels.
My first name is Cameron, my middle name is Suzanne, and my last name I will not say.
Okay. But I'm not going to tell you the name because I don't want you to find it. My third channel, this is my third channel that I've had. The idea just... it was something that I always liked to do. I always liked being on camera. Again, I dance, so I was comfortable being in front of people. My first two channels were like dance tutorial channels, clearly. And then I realized I want to talk more. I want to do sit-down videos. I grew a love for editing, video editing, and I realized I'm like, I could sit down, talk to people, do reactions, which is really kind of how my channel started. Staying more in tune and tapped in with the new releases, I was like, wait a minute. I should just start talking about music and pop culture. I think what showed the test of time and my enjoyment really doing this is my consistency. Someone asked me, what camera do you use to film your videos? A lot of you guys might be very surprised about this, but I use my iPhone. I think the model of my iPhone is the iPhone XR. If you're interested in starting a channel or doing something creative with the camera, just know that you don't need to have the best equipment to start. iPhones are expensive, by the way. So if you can utilize that camera, they have a pretty good camera. There's no secrets to it. The cat is out the bag. I use my iPhone. And someone asked me, how did you start your love for music? Following the similar lines, someone asked, what got you into pop culture? Another one said, what made you get into pop music, etc. Going to the music question, I have two parents who love music. musical people, not in the sense where like they played instruments, but my dad, anytime we got into a car, we weren't going anywhere unless if a CD was put in the car, his music was connected, and he introduced me to a lot of like classic R&B, old school music. And so we just always had music playing in the house. And then as for my mom, so she played a lot of Mariah Carey in the house. Just she loved R&B, like a lot of Stephanie Mills, Janet Jackson, for example. So I got a lot of that core like R&B divas. I listened to a lot of that with my mom, but my mom is also into like 80s rock music, and she always just liked what she liked. Always playing Bon Jovi. Love me some Bon Jovi, Van Halen. We just listened to a lot of stuff growing up. So I think I have like this very eclectic view of music. I also started dancing when I was 3. So dance and music pretty much goes hand in hand. And I think my love just grew because my musicality, I found my dancing and musicality in that music. And then as for getting into pop culture, if I'm being honest, I've always been tapped in like, I loved the Cheetah Girls growing up. I was always like, I want to be at the concert. I want to be at the Cheetah Girl movies premiere. And I was always just tuned in, buying like Tiger Beat, buying the magazines, watching award shows. It was just something natural. I mean, my mom was into all of that stuff. So it just kind of happened. All right. So someone asked me, they said, congrats. Who would you love to collab with on YouTube? And who's your favorite YouTuber under the same niche other than yourself? Someone I would really love to collab with. She's just so educated, so smart, witty, clever. T Noir, I think, is just great. She facilitates these amazing arguments and conversations, and she ties it into pop culture. And I've thought about things very differently while watching her videos. So I really, 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 really admire her. And she is one of my favorite YouTubers. I also really like Madison Brown. I think Madison Brown makes some really great videos. She leans a little more into the social commentary, but she, I know, does music, and she also does talk about music and pop culture. And I also really love Amanda B. If you know Amanda B, I just think she's a great time. She's hilarious. Those are a couple of the people that I really, really enjoy watching. My next question, someone said, how did you go about starting a niche YouTube channel? What challenges did you face? But if you've ever had a YouTube channel, you guys know it's so hard getting started out. And if I'm being honest, yes, my channel was always very music focused. I think like my first 2 videos were advice videos for this channel. It takes a while to find your niche, right? So sometimes you got to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. But kind of mentioned before, I started really picking up a little bit of traction when I did reaction videos to music videos and new releases. I started gaining a bit of an audience that was curious about my musical opinions. And I was like, well, to be quite transparent from a copyright standpoint, I was like, this isn't feasible. Reacting to videos, reacting to music gets copywritten very easily. But I also realized I had a lot more to say. And I loved the music niche. I love that I had an audience that was growing from that standpoint. I can take these musical conversations and make it bigger. What's the bigger picture? What's the bigger story? Let's go beyond that music. And so I think that's kind of how I developed my niche. Guys, I've had this channel for like 5-6 years. I would say at the very beginning of this year, I really carved out my niche with that Pop is Dead video, and I ran with it. I was like, I love this. I love doing this. I think the challenge was just really knowing or trusting the process. Like, okay, people aren't really watching this right now, but I'm going to keep upping, boosting my content, staying consistent. I just have to believe in my vision and keep moving. All right. And then their second question is, what's a collab you would love to see? I'm not sure if this was music related, but I think it is. So I said, I would love to see a Kehlani and Brandy collaboration. I'm a Kehlani lover through and through. So that's very like biased. I'm going to go with that one for now. I love this question. Someone said, what's your favorite video you've made and or your least favorite video that you've made this far? And someone also seconded that and asked the same thing. What was your favorite video that you've made? So I think my favorite video, guys, this is kind of hard. I genuinely think that my favorite video that I've made so far is one of my more recent ones called The Curse of Retail Music, or the Retail Music Curse. And it wasn't a conversation that I saw being had a lot on YouTube. So I felt like it was very original, unique, and would it would really facilitate a new conversation that wasn't really being had. And the editing, you guys might not know this about me, but I edit all of my videos by myself. I'm very passionate about editing. At one point, I thought I wanted to start like a video editing business. Each video, I strive to get better and better at it. And I think that was one of my favorites so far. And then my least favorite video is probably the story time video I did 5 years ago, recounting the time that a guy that I was talking to at the time pretended that he got shot. I was trying to be my story time bag. Do you guys remember when like YouTubers were doing story times? Hella story times. And you could tell some people were fabricating it. I didn't fabricate my story, but I also just like hate that story. Like it just pisses me off. And I'm also like, why the hell would I even put my business out there like that? But I hate that video. I don't like it. And my next question under the YouTube category, and they said, what's the biggest thing you've learned from being a content creator? One thing that I've learned is actually, guys, doing this is kind of terrifying sometimes, because you're essentially putting your face in front of potentially hundreds of thousands of people who are going to have opinions on everything that you do. The way that you talk, the way that you look, the way that you dress. You have to learn ways to be secure and confident in who you are. At the end of the day, we are all just people. You can't care too much about what other flawed human beings think of you, right? Positive thoughts, amazing, but negative thoughts suck. But either or should not make or break how you feel about yourself. And I think content creating and being a YouTuber and, you know, getting a lot of views. I think my biggest video at this point has over 500,000 views, which conceptually is crazy. Cliche aside, I think I've learned a lot about not conforming and just being me. And whoever's going to accept that is going to accept it, and who isn't, isn't. I also have learned that being consistent goes a long way. Consistency is key, and that's with anything in life, quality content, and being dedicated to your craft. So getting into the pop culture questions that you guys had for me, my question is, which 5 artists, dead or alive, would you love or have loved to be a dancer for? So my number 1, I said Michael Jackson, because it's kind of a boring answer, but yeah, if you guys didn't know, I've done summer intensives in New York at the Alvin Ailey School. I did a show with American Ballet Theater here in Detroit, at the Opera House. I've also studied in LA for a summer with Debbie Allen. So I've done a lot of different dance events, and it really was like a passion and a focus of mine to potentially do that one day. Also, when I got a little older, doing some background dancing and music videos and things like that. So that's probably where this question is coming from. So Michael Jackson, I said Aaliyah. I think Aaliyah just had this cool, like, laid back swag to her. I love her style. I love what she put her dancers in. I'm not like the biggest Aaliyah musical fan. I like Aaliyah. Shout out to Detroit, you know, we gotta have that Detroit tie. But I just thought that, like, she was a vibe. I said Kehlani. Of course, I would want to dance for my favorite artist. And I think Kehlani, their dancers, just the choreography, it's very unique. It's like contemporary infused with hip hop. And it's just a lot going on there that I think is very unique. Ariana Grande. Her dances are cute, guys. When I was 14, 15, 16, I knew all of the dances. When I went to the honeymoon tour, I was in the stands. I knew all of the dances. And I also took a master class from her background dancers, I think in like 2014. And then lastly, I said Janet Jackson. Duh, like Janet Jackson, her dancing is so eclectic, and between each different vibe and song that she has, I think it would be fun because she has an array of different kinds of music. And I actually saw a clip of her performing. I think it's called Got Till It's Gone, and I just was obsessed with the choreography. Trance-like, just innovative, different, kind of avant-garde. I loved it. I'll probably post a clip, but those would be my top 5. Someone asked me, who is your favorite R&B artist, 90s and 2000s? So first and foremost, Mariah Carey, hands down. Now, I know Mariah Carey could be considered pop, but my favorite album from her, R&B. I'm also going to go Brian McKnight. My dad played a lot of Brian McKnight in the car. Robin Thicke, and Music Soul Child. Those are my other honorary mentions. Someone said, congrats, girl. You have become one of my comfort YouTubers. Thank you so much. I hope you're watching this and that you're comfy right now. They said, my question is, what are your top 3 albums of all time. First, we're going with Emancipation of Mimi. That is why that is hanging up on my wall right now. We're going to go number 2, The Evolution of Robin Thicke. It's a very random answer, but an excellent, superb, amazing, no skip album for me. We also get that great Pharrell production, which my top 3 albums all have Pharrell production on there. And then it's between Sweetener by Ariana Grande, again, another Pharrell produced album, and then Thriller. That's also on my wall. Thriller by Michael Jackson is probably up there too. So it's between those, but I'm going to go with that answer for now. We're going to lock that in. This next question said, how do you feel about 2024 as a year of music? Because personally, I honestly feel like this has been one of the best and most iconic and stacked years for music in recent memory. And I have to agree with you. Everybody and their mother is dropping music. I'm excited about it. It's the most excited I've been. I started my Patreon to kind of commemorate and honor the fact that there's so many projects coming out that I don't want to miss. And it's fun to see all this music release after years. Now, everybody going on tour at once, not a fan of, because that costs money. But I'm also kind of like cautiously fearful because I'm a little nervous that music's going to be really dry in the next few years to come. So I'm happy about it, but I almost kind of wish that people spaced things out. And someone asked me, do you think that pop music we knew and loved will make that big impact again on the industry? Unfortunately, guys, I really don't. I don't think that it's ever going to get back to what it was. You know, the past is exactly what it is, the past. But I do think that we're going to start developing. I think we're already seeing a new crop of stars that have potential to be hit makers and are very great at their craft. I just think it's going to look very different. So I'm just bracing myself for that rather than like waiting on maybe pop music to come back. I also think the music industry is just structured very differently from a monetary and a business model standpoint, that it just will never be able to be looked at the same way. Just think about the introduction of streaming and the way that the vinyl game has changed everything, and it's different. Someone said congrats on 50K, and their question is there an artist you think deserves more recognition and why? I have a couple. I said Skylar Stecker. I think she goes by Skylar Simone, and she did used to do YouTube covers as a kid. If you know, you know. But she has come out with some very great R&B projects and songs in the past few years that I think she should be much bigger than she is right now. If you are curious, I would recommend that you listen to You, Locked In, and Earth Sign. Those are some of my favorite Skylar Stecker songs. Also, Alex Isley is really, really great. I think that they have this amazing kind of deep, darkish tone and feel to their music, but it's kind of ethereal and beautiful. So if you like R&B music, definitely check out Alex Isley. And then lastly, I'll say Kiana Lede. If you know, you know. I saw Kiana in concert a few months ago. She's great vocals, great vocal range, great songwriter. If you haven't listened to her debut album, I would recommend Kiki, but she for sure to me is underrated and deserves more recognition. So the next question that someone asked me was, did you watch the 2024 BET Awards, and would you give your opinion of what you thought? From a stage production and production, like execution standpoint, there was a lot of like mishaps, missteps. Whether it's like you can see them setting up the stage and taking the stage down, like the camera angles were off. Taraji P. Henson, we all know that awkward moment with Keith Lee was very cringe. I will say it had one of the most exciting lineups in a while, from Megan to Lotto to Glorilla to Normani was supposed to perform but she didn't, from Chloe to Tinashe, the Usher tribute. I think there was so much potential in the show, but unfortunately I just think from like a show production, TV production standpoint, it was just kind of chaotic. Someone said, one, what is your favorite release of this year so far? Album and song. Okay, so the album, I'm biased. I'm gonna just say it. I don't care. Eternal Sunshine, I think, is my favorite release thus far of the year. It just is refreshing. I love the message of the album, the continuation. The more that I've sat with it, the more that I've enjoyed it, and I'm still listening to it. And my favorite song off of Eternal Sunshine is Eternal Sunshine. Two, they asked, for how long have you been an Arianator? So here's a fun fact, guys. I was never a huge Victorious person, but I always was privy of Ariana's music. If you are a day one fan, you guys, I don't know if you remember her song that she put out on YouTube called Higher, but I have loved her music since she released Higher. You take it deeper, I take it higher. Okay, I'm sorry. He did not like my singing. And then obviously since her debut era, for sure. And then they asked, what is your favorite Ariana album and song? And someone else also asked me what my favorite Ariana album is. My favorite Ariana album, just from an artistic standpoint, is Sweetener. I think it was revolutionary for her sound. Again, we got that Pharrell production, so it was just very unique than anything that she's made, and unique from anything anyone else has made out of her peers. And then someone asked me, what new artists do you think have the most potential to be a modern day superstar? I'm gonna stick with one name and one name only. Victoria Monet, hands down. She's consistent. She's a student of her craft. Amazing dancer. She sings live, great breath control. You can tell that she lives, eats, sleeps, breathes music, and she has been hustling for 10 plus years in the industry. And I actually was listening to Victoria Monet since like 2013, 2014. Very, very talented. And I'm going to go with her. I think she has superstar written all over her. All right. And then lastly, to close out the Q&A, I just have a couple of fun questions that people ask me. Someone asked, what's the lip combo I've been dying to know? So I got you. I got my purse right here. I'm going to pull it out. 1 second. This is my holy grail. I always wear this, okay? This is NYX Butter Gloss Ginger Snap. You can get this at Ulta, at the drugstore. Ginger Snap, NYX Butter Gloss. This is like holy grail. And then this is the key. You don't need a specific brand, but I always use a brown lip liner. This one's from NK Makeup, and you usually find NK Makeup in beauty supply stores. I also use NYX brown lip liner in the shade Espresso. And then the next question is, they wanted to know my blush technique. I'll show you the blush that I use, and I'll also show you the brush that I use as well. This is the brush that I use to put on my blush. I just kind of go like in this like circular motion, and then I push it out. Circular motion and push it out. And then for the blushes that I use, I recently got this Milani blush in this shade Merlot Moment. So I love this. There's a bit of a shine to it, so it's not super matte and chalky. It's like a cream blush. And then I also have been using this for probably the last year, is the Juvia's Palace or Juvia's Place. And the palette is actually called Volume 1, and you have like this mauve kind of purplish cherry color, and then you also have this orange sun-kissed color, which I really like, and especially on brown skin. I just think that orange really pops. Someone asked me, what is my favorite animal? I think my favorite animal is between a dolphin and elephants. My grandmother, who I never got to meet, but just because she passed before I was born, but she collected elephant figurines. So growing up, we always had elephant figurines around the house. So I would say those are my two favorite animals. My last question is, they asked, do you think it's better living life not knowing or regretting? It's been on my mind these days, and I'd appreciate to hear your opinions on it. I think that it's best to live your life. Ooh, I don't love the word regret, but let's be real. Everyone's like, I don't have any regrets. I think people have regrets. I think it depends on the risk. But if I had to choose one, I would say regretting, because with a lot of things, you don't know unless if you try. So I would rather live a life of, quote, regretting, because you have those experiences, and then you can learn from that regret. You can take something from that regret and turn it into something else, versus if you don't know, you don't grow without having certain experiences, positive and negative. Comment down below. I think that's a great question. And then their last question is, on a more lighthearted note, what shows have you been watching these days? So I have a little guilty pleasure shows, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching Unexpected on TLC, 90 Day Fiance, After the 90 Days. I just watched that Dallas Cowboy America's Sweetheart documentary, which was interesting. Oh, and also Sex in the City. Sex in the City. That's a good one. I've been watching that lately. So yeah, guys, that was my last question for this video. I'm so glad I could do a 50K Q&A. Again, feel free to ask me any more questions that you have in the comments, maybe that you didn't, and I will be sure to shoot you a message down there. I do have a new upload coming on Friday. It is the unpopular opinions video, so get your popcorn, sit tight, because we are going to have a time. Thank you so much for 50K. Celebration, celebration, celebration. And I will see you guys in my next video.